Hello, Spencer here, coming at you with another custom tutorial. I am back with the tutorial on how I did all the modifications for the Dragon Stars figures. I'm not going to go over in too much detail in my last video, but if you just want a quick review of what I did, there will be a link in the description below. Basically what I have added in my last video was a little bit of head articulation, some freed shoulders, some thigh swivels, some better looking knees, and we lowered the crutch peg to make the legs a bit more free to move. Now there's going to be a video if you just want to see what it is, that'll be in the link below. If you want to actually see me do it, that's going to be this video today. I'm also going to be showing you some additional stuff which I thought of after, so that will also be in this video today. So we're going to have a quick comparison and go from there. Now I have a couple of shout outs to do at the start of this video. The first thing I want to make you aware of is actually somebody who saw my previous video, and they are a customizer and they do a lot of their customizations on Instagram, and he tagged my previous video on Facebook and I saw it and I was like, that video looks familiar, and I messaged him saying that I was the one that did the video, and we started talking, and he's actually done quite a bit more from that. He really loves the thigh swivels that I showed to do, and he's actually much better at it than I am. You'll see in a minute that when I try to do the thigh swivels, it's quite jokingly bad. I'm not good at it. I don't try to be. But he's an awesome guy. Check out his Instagram. And his Instagram is way too many donuts. Absolutely amazing guy. Very, very cool, down to earth. And he's constantly uploading new things that he's doing, and he's trying out new tricks and trades. Not just with Dragon Stars, he does SH figure arts as well. But he's put up some pretty cool stuff so far. And the final shout out I want to do is to Bill Maru Toy Chanix. I apologise, Bill, if I'm mispronouncing your name badly. But Bill is an absolute legend. Also on Instagram, I first saw his videos when I watched one of Shortman's Prime videos, where he actually sent some broken figures off to be repaired, and Bill's the guy that did it. This guy's a true talent into fixing a broken figure. And again, with the thigh swivels, I'm bad with it. He's one that showed me a new technique to do, which I actually need to do. Check out their Instagrams, both very talented, and Bill's, the way he repairs things is truly phenomenal. Anyway, enough of the rambling. Let's get on to this one. So, very quick recap. What we're going to do is we showed in this last one that this is very limited here. It's basically limited anywhere. Now, one thing Too Many Donuts does do is he actually crops out part of the crutch to give it more freedom. Now I've tried on this one, so this one's boxed down. I haven't touched it apart from this, so you can see straight cut. This one's had this trim away, this one hasn't. Now with the trim away, you can see that, yes, you can see the actual ball, well, the joint a bit more there, but it does give you much more freedom. And if you add the rotation, you can get the leg all the way out, whereas this one you can't. But you can bring it in as well a bit more, and then you can have the thigh swivel, which is done on that one, and get the leg rotated round. Now here's some pictures of Too Many Donuts, and you can see what he's done and how it looks and how well that looks. It does look okay, but it is noticeable, but it's not terrible. I think I've tried it to see, decided what I think of it, and I think I'm going to do a cross between this and my hip drop, which is annoying because the hip drop is a real pain in the backside to do, but this is a simple way just to get a bit more movement, and you don't lose much of the aesthetic. I say that it's got to be your preference. From something else, it's fine, but the amount of movement you get, that's just without dropping the ball peg, is, you know, dropping the ball all the way down, you can get even more. But with this one, even with the ball all the way down, that's all you get. So it definitely does improve it dramatically. So if you're happy with just that and you don't mind that, there's a nice simple fix. If you want to do what I've done, whereas I've lowered the actual peg that goes across there down, so if I make that square or straight, it's really hard to do. This still isn't glued together, so it might fall apart, by the way. Yeah, you can really see them, unfortunately, but you can do it either way. But you can get a lot more from that, and then you can drop it down even further. You can swing that around there, and then with the thigh swivel you can get it there, get a nice high straight kick, and it looks really good. Now one of the pictures that donuts has got is of Goku doing a charge, and you can see he's really got the legs spread and stretched out, and it's really, really cool. So that's something that you can choose what to do. In this video, I'm going to show you doing this. It's going to be fun, it's going to be annoying, and then I'm going to show you doing everything. Now, the other things we've added since that last video is a bit more head articulation and some much more improved ankles. Now, if I grab these ankles, these are standard, haven't done anything to these. The peg goes straight down into the foot, and it's a pain in the backside because it's really hard to get the leverage you need to bring that around. It just does not work, especially when straight down. There's oh. There you go. There's just not enough clearance in there to get it forward enough to get the leverage around, so your foot just ends up rotating on that peg, and it's useless. What I showed in my last one is I trimmed it away, so then you had a bit more clearance. But what I've also done is I've now drilled a hole into the actual toe, so we actually have a pivot, so it can actually rotate and pivot, rotate round and pivot. You get all the utilization of that ankle joint, and in my opinion, much better. Yes, it does look a little bit to the eye, but when you're in some decent stances, you're not going to notice it. And look at that, feet flat, didn't have to fight with it, done. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well in this video. Now, we've done Goku, the neck, sorry. Now the neck, we've done two things. The first thing I've done is I've really taken it out the back of the head itself. So if I show you the differences, you can see at the top there, that's not touched, and that's obviously cut away. That really does help it on the back of the neck here. The other thing I've done is, this one is a bit of an eyesore, but I've kind of chopped the neck to pieces. Taken out a big chunk of the back there, and I've also taken out a big chunk at the back of the neck itself. Now, you're asking, why am I doing that? Simple fact is, it can now go back really far. And with this flap thing, you can turn the neck a lot easier. So, yes, from some angles, it doesn't look great. But with all this hair, you generally don't notice it all that much. And it means you can really get some truly amazing sculpt. I thought of a new technique after doing this, which I might try, and that's just trim away a little bit of the back here. Doesn't need to be so much there. Just take off like about that much. And that should hopefully give a lot more freedom, which we can try later on. Right, so here's our test subjects. So using Super Saiyan Gohan here, as you can see, it's the exact same body as Goku. Just slight variations in colours, so it's a nice simple thing. Now this is actually a good way to test that neckline, because I can't cut that massive chunk out because there's no hair to hide it, unlike Goku. So maybe that idea won't work for this guy, but it will. That did work for the Goku, we'll see. So like I said, in this video we're going to do everything we've done to the Goku on camera. Hopefully the battery will last. Now for Vegeta, he doesn't need the freedom of these, he doesn't have any cuts. He has virtually no articulation, so I'm going to have a think about it. I think I've got an idea, but we're going to add the thigh swivel to show it does still work for these joints, and we're going to add the ankle articulation as well, because I think Vegeta's actually might be the best feet to do it on, because there's a lot of freedom in there. We shall see. Because as mentioned, one of the bad things to the Goku figure is that they have to trim off, well, here you go, here it is. I had to trim off this much from there. It's not massive, but still, it's something. Right, so the first thing we want to do is break this apart. So Vegeta's going to go to side sec, we're just going to take him apart. So head off, leg off. Oh, crikey, that does not want to pop. Thankfully, these are all ball joints, so it just pops off nice and easy. All right, boom. So down, we have just got the torso. Now, I did say in my previous video, you can alter this while it's still together. I personally do find it easier to take it apart, and we're going to try and do that potentially on video as well. But first, I want to show you doing it actually through the figure itself. Now, this Gohan isn't terrible, actually. He's not that stiff. It's a bit stiff there, and a bit stiff there. So we do have some to work with, but we shall see. So first we want is my knife. Alright, so what you want to do is point the arm as high up as you can, and you want to make a gap. So you see now we've got that gap there. Then you want to get your knife in this gap and just trim away those edges. Right, so you get your knife and you just trim in this little bit here. So I'm just going to try a bit here now to show you. So you see, just a little slice, a little bit, and get that out. There you go. And then try it. See how it works. Right. So straight away, so there's my slice, and as soon as I go up, I'm feeling resistance like about here. So I know there's a bit more around here I need to do. So we'll do a little bit of a slice there. But actually I think the resistance is from this part here. Because if you see, this here is catching on the stuff on the edges inside here. Can't get that last little bit off. There we go. They want to come out. Right. So that's all we've cut off so far. Get off me. That's all we've cut off so far now. Let's try it. Right, so that's much easier there. Much easier. I'm still feeling some resistance here. So the question is it resisting here or is it resisting there? I think it's resisting just there. So I'm going to trim a little bit more. The reason I think it's resisting there because that's actually where the biggest amount of plastic is. And I'm going to trim a little bit just there. So as you can see, this is quite time consuming, this, unfortunately, which is why I still think taking off is the easiest solution, which we're going to do again in a second. There you go, there's another big chunk there. Very nice, try it. Boom. So look, all the way around, no issues. Still a slight bit of friction, but I don't mind a bit of friction. You don't want to be super loose, but I'm not like like I had to do that other go on in the last video. That was a problem. I took all my strength to just turn it around. Now for this side, we're gonna open out. So what I'm gonna do, get my drink out of the way. We're gonna heat this up, and then we're gonna get our knife in here, and then we're gonna hopefully then get pen knife, stronger blade in there and pry apart. So a lot of quick people ask, how do you pop open a torso? So this is, we're gonna try to do it on camera for you. Hopefully we won't have like a Colossus from my X-Men What You Build, but we'll see. Anyway, let's heat this up first. Alright, not long, but should be enough to get the knife in there and break that seam. So that's kind of all we want to do. So you see, I'm just trying to get the knife in there, get a little bit of leverage off of something. So I'm using the arm itself. There's a little bit of leverage just to kind of get it in there. Oh, it's going to pop the arm out though. Does not want to break. I need to give it a bit more heat. Okay kiddies, we are back. The last scene you just saw was actually recorded on the 26th of November. Today is the 5th of April, so there's been a tiny bit of a break. The reason for this is, excluding Christmas and everything else that's going on, is in that scene you just saw, I cut through my finger quite nastily. It was very painful, and I don't know how well it's going to come for camera, but there's a slight scar just there in front of my nail, and I had to heal that up. And basically what I did, I'm going to do it with the blade cover on, is I did the one thing you should never do, is I cut towards myself. So I was trying to use this part of the blade here because this was sharper. I should have been going down, but I went up, and then it slipped on my hand and went straight through my finger like that. Incredibly painful. Had to go to hospitals. They had some super stitches on it, and then I was out of action for quite a while. This finger was stuck like this, and I was worried I was not going to get the feeling back in it. To be honest, it's still not great, and I have some sensory issues with it now, but it's pretty much back to normal. But I think that's now going to be like that for the rest of my life. Going to have some nerve damage there. So, lesson of this: always be careful with your blades. Never cut towards you. Never ever cut towards you. Always cut away. So that could have been a lot worse. It was a very deep cut, and it's healed up really nicely, thankfully. But yeah, big lesson there. So I apologise if you witnessed that, but be careful. Okay. Now I have actually got a lot further with figuring out a lot more stuff since then, and we're going to cover that in a sec because I've now got the new Gokus. So here's the new Goku that's come out, and I've done the full customization to him. I've done everything I'm going to do. So he now, well, minus the knees, 32 the knees. He now has the fire rotation, and it works fine. I've also found an easy way to drop down the hips. So they're there. They're stuck in T-pose. They can't arc anymore, but they're there. And I'm going to cut away some of the crevices as well there, so it's going to be a lot more free. I've got the head to go back a bit more, which is a bit of chunk out the back of the neck and a bit of down here, plus some of the collar here. You've got the articulation with the pivot, and I just need to, like I said, cut the knees, and then he's pretty much good to go. So there. And I'm going to show you the rest of that in a moment. But I also want to show you quickly, you can do it on smaller figures too. So here we have Gotenks with the articulation, much smaller figure works there. And he's got the double knee. Sorry, it's really hard to do, which I think looks much better. I need to kind of maybe file it down a bit. It's a bit of a quick job. And now I will warn you, his feet are a bit of a pain, but he does have the pivot. But when I do it, I think it's this one, the hole it goes in is slightly forward as it is, so it's not the most easiest to do. And when I put it in at the same time going forward, it didn't like it, so this one likes to pop off. But he does have, there you go, I can show you that, his foot was, the ball was just sitting there, and now we've got it going in there, but it's a bit too wide. I need to ideally maybe go a bit deeper, but I don't really know how much deeper I can go, because if you see, there's not a lot of ridge play there. So we could potentially go a bit deeper, but I don't know how well it's going to help. I think I just might put a bit of hot glue in there, just like a little drop, just so to get a bit more tightness. But it, you know, clips on, so it is there. But then obviously got, if I show you this, for such a range, and I've got all that beautiful ankle pivot. And he's done the exact same hip joint I've done with these, where I've just lowered the actual peg that goes across. Excuse me. Just lowered the peg that goes across just a bit, just give a bit of clearance, because with the legs all the way up, that hip there actually catches on there, so you can't go out. You can't go further than that. You can lower it and do it, but for me, I don't care for the drop. I like to have solid, but now like boom. And boom. I feel like a way to do this as well, kind of got a nice little knack for doing these. I've done a few now. We've also done a Vegeta, so I can show you what this looks like. Vegeta's, unfortunately, there's no way to get around it, because his is just muscle definition, and they're very slender this way, but not so much that way. When you rotate it, it's a bit, that doesn't look nice. The only way you could get away with that is basically reshaping the entire angle and making it go a bit more central, where it would kind of bring it over a bit, which could be done feasibly, but you would have to basically sculpt out all the back in there, sculpt out all the back in here, move it over, and then fill it with some part of your hot glue or something to keep it in place. So I think I'm just going to deal with it. It's frustrating, but I think I'm just going to deal with it. But yeah, works really well. And I've done him the ankle pivot as well, so nice little cut there. Still want to kind of smooth it a little bit. I'm not ultimately happy because it does look a bit cutty and gappy, especially this one. I never actually got around to finishing this one. This one still just goes straight down to the foot. So I need to take this off and do at the angle like this one is. This one has the pivot. This one has the rotation still. But that's not bad. And look how much more clearance that gives you. So I like that. Ignore the hair. I've tried taking hairs off to do stuff with them, and honestly it's a pain in the backside. I will say from painting my Gohans, because I painted adult Gohan, teen Gohan, painting the hair black, it's much easier. I think it's going to be easier without the hair being attached to paint the hair the colour you want, because when you try and do it with it on, it gets in the way. Like, try and paint Goku's eyebrow. You know, it's a nightmare. So the other thing we trialed is the shoulder cuffs. We've been talking about how these get in the way, and you can cut in there and you can free them up, and which does work on some of them, but Piccolo especially, I've had difficulty in trying to do it. So I tried a new technique where I actually glued it to the arm, so it goes in like that. So I can show you what I've done. Just very simply cut a notch in that, glued this to the bicep or the shoulder, so this doesn't move anymore, so it's actually part of it. So much like the Wave 1 Goku had it actually attached to the arm. Now I thought honestly I'd probably like this because it gets it out of the way and it's no longer an issue when you rotate round, but I don't like it because I don't like that. I think that doesn't look right, whereas that does. So no, then to me they need to. But if you do want to do that, it is quite simple. You just simply, I'd advise popping it open, taking out the arm. Like you see, I've just cut off a big chunk there, and I've glued it there, and cut up so the peg can go all the way up. That's all you need to do. You do have to kind of work for it a little bit to get it to go under the torso sometimes. Like, it likes to kind of sit there, but once you do, then it is fine. But I'm going to try and undo this because no, I don't like this. Frankly, I've got two caped Piccolos, which is why I tried this out. So yeah, that's what I've been doing since I've almost cut my finger off. Now I apologise if that was upsetting, but I think that's quite important to show the ramifications of cutting your finger. I was going to post videos and pictures afterwards to show when it happened, but I don't think that's a bit too far. But I'm still going to show you how to take this apart, and hopefully Gohan here is going to play a bit more ball. The crucial lesson here is cut away from you. So like I said last time, I was trying to get in there and I went up there, straight over, caught my finger on the knuckle. Giant, turns out it's that good that I got the wrong knuckle. I was thinking it was here, but no, it was here. Like, it did happen quite a long time ago for me. For you guys, it was instant. So yeah, cut across that one. Now, so what we're going to do now is we're going to heat this up again, and then we're going to do some strokes, just multiple strokes going down the body. Okay, so we're not going to try and go across at all. So we're not going to try and use this part of the blade again like we did. Not going to try and do that. We're just going to keep going down, 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 down. Eventually, with enough strokes, we will cut through. So first things first, let's heat this up. Which, really thankful because it's nice and warm in here, which so needs mad additional heat. Okay, that's now schooled into touch. Let's see how we go on. Do you know what? I have a new tool actually, which I'm going to show you guys later on. It might actually help in this. Boom. That was easy. Hope we can get through the other side. Don't think it's as hot, but we can try. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I am nervous doing this now since I've cut myself, but I don't want to lose this passion, so I want to stay on this saddle, so to speak. But I will say, if you're careful, you know, accidents will happen, but as long as you're careful, they happen few and far between. For example, I did this one last year, but in the same hand, here, there's a scar. I did that one about when I was 18, 19, and I've just turned 37 yesterday. It was my birthday yesterday. So, yeah, as long as you're careful, they are few and far between. And those are the only two major cuts I've had. Trying to go nice and gentle. You can feel it's slowly cutting in there. Nice and gentle. Now I want to get my hand out of the way. The problem is the angles you need to get. I mean, the other option is to obviously get, you know, chainmail gloves. That might be useful. Alright. Another issue about it, I've lost my freaking penknife, so I've lost my old screwdriver. And I don't actually own a flathead screwdriver. I know it seems ridiculous, but I've never needed to. I've always had a friend or someone who can do it. Or I've had my little penknife which has done the tricks. Alright, so obviously once you cut it open, and now if you get something in there, ideally a flathead screwdriver which has a bit more strength than a crappy blade. You want to kind of get in there under something solid so you can actually pry on the centre guts rather than actually on the outside plastic, because you don't really want to be working against the outside plastic because you can warp that. But you can see there's a little bit more of a gap there, so now would be a good time to potentially get a knife in there, maybe cut that a little bit more. And pop. What you're really trying to do is break ideally free or break these pegs, because these are what are really holding it in. Once you break those pegs, as you see, it all comes crumbling down. So we'll come back to this later. Alright, one arm, two arms and a cap. We'll worry about the rest of it later on. So we care about these caps for now. So as you see from this one, this is what I did from when the body was still together. See, it's got a nice little bit away. And ignore that, it's just my dog Jessie coming in. Trying to clear a loose bit there. And this one we haven't touched. So if I show you the body, the arm attached in the torso. So from this side it doesn't look too bad, it clears pretty much everything, but from the back is where you run into your issues. Although now I've separated, it doesn't want to rub into anything, maybe it's just a bit warmer in here. Either way, I'm going to trim a little bit off of it, so I want to cut off like most of this. I apologise if you hear noises like cars going past, as it's really warm in here. Although ironically it's sunny as heck and it's really hot in here, but it was snowing this morning on the 5th of April. Just a little bit, nothing settled, just a little bit of snow. And now it's like gorgeously sunny and roasting in here. Go figure. Right, I think that's what I'm going to do. You can run over a sander if you want, but that's potentially all we need. Let's put this back together quickly. Where's your cap? Boom. And as you can see, works like a treat. But, you know, the other one's just as good. So like I said, I don't think you need to do this. I really do not think you need to take this apart anymore. I think it's just an additional step which causes injuries, and it's going to be more hassle as well. If you any of you watched my Watch Me Build X-Men, you can see when I did the X-Men, the taking the Colossus apart was such a nightmare. It took me ages and it stressed me out, and there was swearing and there was blood, and there wasn't blood, but it was just, you know, it was frustrating. Right, so that's the arms done. Done, 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 done. We can leave them in a little clip, if we will. Now the head. So most of the heads are constantly looking down. The problem is because there's too much hair here and there's not enough room to move up. Gohan actually is not terrible with this. He can actually look okay, but if you want to look in a flying pose, he can't do. The best he can do is look straight forward. So here's what I've come up with. You take a small chunk out of here, just a small one, so you just get a little bit extra there. You take out a big chunk here, so this can go further back, so it's not catching on this so much. And then you take out in here quite a lot. You need to do like massively, but just a bit. Every little will add just that little bit more. First thing we want to do though is heat this up. So that's hot. Right, nice and squidgy there, look, it's nice and bendy. So I want to get this big old chunk down here. We don't need this chip. Straight away, get rid of that. Boom. And then take a little bit more. Now be careful of your hand, because obviously it's very close. Obviously you don't want to catch the peg as well, so be careful there. Just do a little bit by a little bit. Keep taking a notch off here, a notch off there, until you get what you want. Oh, and I see I've made a mistake then, I've cut through it, so I have to put some glue in there. But I'll do that in a second. Unfortunately, this is going to change the aesthetic look of it, but you have to decide if you want to sacrifice some of the look for your articulation. Me, I prefer articulation over look, but I kind of like a bit of a balance. So, boom, a bit more. Now it's not going to catch that back, so now we can go bum, bum, a bit more. We're still not going all the way, but you know, it is better than nothing. Look. Now I want to take a bit off the back of this. Not doing loads, just a fraction. Now you might actually want to take off a small layer up top here as well. The reason I say this is because this actually, if you make it thin enough, it gets a bit sharp. You don't want it sharp there, because then you might just drag your figure on it, on it even. Right. Right. Bum. You know, much more head tilt. You know, we can do a lot more with that. And you can work with it, you can twist the neck that way, you can get a bit more that way, more dynamic. With my Goku, I did go a bit extreme with it. Like, I cut off massive chunk there to get it all the way back. And yes, it does help, but I don't know if it's needed. I think I went a bit too extreme with this one. But the other thing you can do is the hair. We've got catching the hair right there. Now you could cut all of that hair off, but then you're really going to lose that look. But you could potentially file down a little bit on the inside, but I don't think with Gohan at least you're not going to get much. Again, it's a shame, can't get them to look up. Can't do it. Not without some kind of hinge in there or something much greater. So that's the arms, that's the neck. And then the things a lot of you guys asked for is the hips and the feet. The feet, they should just pop off, and that just pricked me into my finger. Which is crazy, these shouldn't pop off. So we'll cover the feet in a second. First things first, let's do the thing that everyone wants to see, the knees. Now, I've learned quite a good trick with doing these, which helps. If you see, what I did was I cut a little seam down there, which just helps pry it open to get the leg out. I'm going to show you that now. You don't have to, you can just heat them up and pry them, but honestly, it's a pain in the butt. Right, first thing we have to do, let's heat it up. So you could get a screwdriver in there and try and pry it, but like I said, I find that a bit difficult. So make a small slit, not a large one, just a small one, just in there. It just kind of helps. There you go, popped out. And then you can glue that back together, seams. Oh, that reminds me, I need to glue this, don't I? Sorry, I didn't record what I just glued Gohan's neck back because I broke it and the glue went everywhere. Right, so one of the biggest problems I've had with doing these thigh cuts is where to cut. Now, for a lot of figures, straight cut, I struggle to do a straight cut as it is. And as you've seen before, I've gone and I can't get it right. Now, I figured out a technique which still is not 100%, but it has worked, proven quite useful with all the other ones that I've done. What the problem you've got is, like I said to these before, is these pegs go in at this weird angle, so they kind of come in like this. Now, I've tried to guesstimate it looking on the outside, tried to cut down. I got these, okay? I got these specifically to do it. These are plier cutters. These are for plumbers, okay? And they're ratchet cutters. So they go like this, and then they use the ratchet teeth, and then eventually £20 in them to do the trick. Now they're designed to cut through pipes, so that's why they have that kind of curved teeth. And I tried doing one of these, and the problem is the leg just kind of goes through there and it gets squished and it doesn't really work, and it goes off at like a weird kind of curvy angle. So these did not work, which is annoying. I feel that these would help with something else, but not for this. Because you need a very precise cut, you're not making your own, these ones are very frustrating. So Bill Maru Toy Chinks, we were talking about, and I was asking him how he gets such clean cuts, and he says to me that he just uses a blade. He gets, I'll show you the blade he said he uses. One of these, he just gets it right over, stands over top of it and does a straight down cut as best he can. And I was like, okay, I'll try one of them. I tried, and I don't like holding a blade like this. I personally think it's crazy nerve-wracking to hold a blade just like this. It kind of works, but that's where I got this from. Now these blades just slit in here like this. You do this up quickly. That then locks the blade in place. So now this is just a paint scraper, okay? And I got this off of Amazon. I've lost the lid for it. There it is. I think it was Amazon, and it was only, I want to say about £10. I don't actually remember. And it's got a metal end here, and then the other side you have a plastic end for scraping, you know, paint and whatnot off. But as you saw, I used it to pry my chest. What I've also found is I found it quite useful to do knees, and I'll show you in a sec. Now the tip I found, which I can't even have thought this before, I feel really stupid and only actually realised this, is I've been kind of guesstimating looking on the outside. I've never once gone, oh wait, there's a guideline on the inside. So if I get my knife in there and then kind of go around following the guideline here, that should give me a relatively even cut. And it has. It's worked for every single one after I figured this out. So that's very frustrating. So I'm going to show you. Now you can do this, but I'm going to do it with this. First thing we'll do, we want to heat this bad boy back up. Squidgy. Alright, cap off. So, we want to get it in, and we want to make sure we get it in just at the right angle. Make sure it comes in, see, now it's sitting just on top of the cup. So we're just going to follow it round. Trying to keep as close to that cup as possible. And boom. And of course I messed up. How did I do that? Honestly, I have no idea how I did that. Oh, I know how. Because I was going angling it. Alright. Yeah, I messed this one up, I know. Feel free to let me know in the comments. Like I said, not perfect. But, you know, I've got a flat angle and it's at the right angle. What I'm going to do now is get my sandpaper. This side as well. Let's heat this bad boy back up. Alright, squidgy. So I put the cap on there. And then we got to put this in. Now this can be a pain in the butt because this is painful to push down on. It's not a hard surface. Pop it in. You didn't hear it, but it did pop. But if I hold that doesn't feel like it's all the way down. But if I hold that there, nice and smooth, going all the way around. So you can then put blob of glue there if you want. You don't need to, but if you want to, just so it's a bit more stable. And then yeah, I really messed this one up, I know, but we'll try again on the other leg and I'll show you. Right, let's point his ankle the right way because it's facing sideways. Oh, that's so hard to do. Right, while we're here, let's have another crack at this. See if we can do this properly. We'll use the knife this time. Okay, so we're going to do a small cut here. Just make sure that goes deep. Going to get our little screwdriver in. And just literally pry it towards that cup. And pop, and it comes. Minimal fuss. And you can glue it straight back up if you want. I'm personally not that bothered by it right now. So I want to use the heat. Now it's also a good way to get your knife in as well. So, we'll try this again. This blade is a bit dull. Now he's heating up a bit longer. I'll tell you what, let's switch blades quickly. 2 secs. Alright, fresh X-Acto blade on there now. So let's heat this up. Oh, looks like the sun's gone away for 2 seconds. Alright, let's try this again. So, it's really hot to touch. Straight in. Alright. It's a bit better, but because I put it down like an idiot, it went up at the end there. Again, I know it's not perfect, and you might get better at this, and you might be better at this than I am. I'm the first one to admit I'm not great at it. But, you know, that's not terrible. Right. Poke this through. There you go. So you kind of, if it's in, like, see the cup sits quite low to that thing. Now I've got a bit of a split there which I forgot about, so I need to glue that shut, but I'll do that in a moment. But again, that's quite smooth, so I'm happy with that. Is it perfect? No. Should we have to do this? No. Should Bandai have done this in the first place? Yes. They could do it a lot easier, a lot more uniform. They'd have a machine that would do it perfectly rather than customizers having to figure out how to do it later. Right, now the knee. We'll come back to that. Oh, that one cool. Let's grab this one. And as it's nice and cool, you can see that still works really well. Now, like I said, this is just meant to be a guide to kind of help you. Hopefully you'll be able to do it a lot better than I can. But yeah, I have kind of straight lines. I can't figure out. Maybe get the angle right and then cut it. I don't know with those blades, but whatever. Right, the knees. These are quite easy. Let's do the knees. Right, so these are nice and simple. You just want to cut off not a triangle, but a wedge. Now, you don't want to cut off like all the way to the nut, because then the peg else you're just going to break the leg joint. So you need to make sure there's plenty of plastic there and there. And when they go together, you're going to have this little point. I personally cut these corners off because else I end up catching my fingers on them. You don't have to, but that's just my preference. Now, gluing them can be a bit of a pain because there's really not a lot there to glue. So you could scrape this down a bit so there's a bit more of a surface. Just as something to glue to. And the other thing I'd recommend is when you glue it, make sure the leg is straight. Before we glue, that's quite pointy. We want to get rid of that as well. Same as that. Alright, so this is the actual cap previously, so now it goes down, so that's going towards the boot, so it's going to go on this way around. So small blob there. You can try and put a bit either side, but it generally doesn't stick. Now what I was going to say is you do it while it's straight, because that way it will line up better with those creases. If you do it bent, then say you did it bent and then you put it too low, when you put that up it's going to be stuck with that, and when you lift it it's going to pop off. So that's why it's better to glue it while it's straight. Now, like I was trying to say, is there's really not a lot there attached to it. Exhibit 8. Somehow glued to the top of the leg, not the knee. I've never tried this before, pinching it after I've glued it. That's it. Let's try this again. Maybe break it apart a bit then afterwards. Right, while that's drying, let's have a look at the foot. Now, for the foot, we need to carve a chip. Now, I think I should have decided, but just in case, this is what we cut off of Goku's foot. So just that much. A little bit of the front, a little bit of the back, a bit more of the back. And that's all you needed for the Goku's foot. For Vegeta's it was a lot more, but you have to play that by ear as you go. So let's heat up this, and then we'll see what we can do. Now, this doesn't need locks, it's only small. And that was my hairdryer falling. Boom. Maybe a bit more around this way. Now, you can get your blade in there and just curl it round as best you can. Just give a bit more of a curl. So obviously the ball's going to sit in this a bit more. I personally get my Dremel head. And I get this in there. Alright, safety goggles on. Sorry about that. My big scary bull mastiff dog was scared by a car engine and had to run inside. Oh, you can't get a bull mastiff, they're terrifying, Reed. They're so vicious and nasty. Yeah, they're in shadow. But that didn't make sense. They're scared of throwing shadow up and say. Right. So, there you go. Just want to get some of these flaky bits off. So we've got a little bit more of a ball in there, so hopefully the ball joint can rest on that. Then we want to put a hole for the new peg. Now the current one sits straight down like that, but we want to go like this. So this is something I do struggle to line up as well. You kind of want to aim a bit off line. So if you go follow that round, aim for that, it curls. So you want to aim a bit off. So pick a point, ideally not where the hole is, a bit above that. So if you can see, I'm a bit above the hole and not, and just want to put a hole there, start screwing. Right, we're barely in, a bit more. So now we're like that far in. Gonna go a little bit more. Right. Brilliant. Now we want to widen it a little bit. Now you may not have all these Dremel bits and all these heads and whatnot. That's fine. But you can just get a screwdriver in there. You should be fine. I just personally tried to widen it a little bit as best I can to try and help the peg get down there. Tad concerned I'm not deep enough. Oh no, we need to go deeper. What drill bit to use? That one I'm not sure on drill bits, I'm sorry. But basically just start small and just keep working your way up. Don't jump straight into the biggest thing you've got. That's better. Right, so let's have a look, see how this is doing. See, there you go, nice and glued on. You could add some additional bits and pieces if you wanted to get some plastic and put it there as a bit of filler, help hold it. It would not be hurt and would strengthen it, because I'm worried that these are just going to pop off at some point. But we're not going to do that for today. So I'm running out of battery very quickly. Right, let's heat this up and we'll pop it on. Now the hairdryer is actually going to close that hole a bit, as you can see, so you might want to get a screwdriver or something in there just to widen it a bit. And the fun part is trying to get this on where it likes to go at an angle. Do you want to see fun? Is trying doing this on camera. Well, that's not working at all. You know, every technique I've used, like for all these other figures, now that I'm on camera, it's like, nah, we're not going to use these. These don't need to work. Okay, and continuing on with this video, I feel this video has become quite a pain in my side. It seems to just be always a problem after problem to stop me from actually recording it. So the last thing you've just seen was quite a while ago. I said the date in that one, I can't remember what I said, but today is the 15th of May, so I think we're like another month later. I've never taken this long to record one video. Good news is though, when I did my X-Men video, my Watch Me Build X-Men video, I was using like this arm thing to hold the camera up so the tripod wasn't in the way. But when my nephew came to stay with us when COVID first kicked in, because he had health reasons, had to come stay with us, I lost my work spot, I lost his desk. He was basically using it as his schoolwork. And the thing was, when I did it, I tied up all of this modelling stuff, put it all away. Could not find the base for my camera arm. So I went back to using my tripod. And the problem when the tripod is standing here, like it's in the way. So you're constantly working like around it. So it's very awkward and thing. But it was randomly I found it in a box, which I swear I looked in like 20 times. But, you know, today it was there. So we have no tripod, so I can do this. It doesn't mean with any kind of like bobbler table, the whole camera wobbles. So you have to deal with that, I'm afraid. But it means I can do this. Right, anyway, sorry. I shouldn't really be rambling. We've already been hours in this video already. So yeah, the last thing we're doing is we were sorting out the foot. And I was cutting off the just a little slither here. But my battery died just as I was just finishing up. So I just need to kind of like tidy that up. So we can do that now. And there we go. We have a nice ankle which has a bit more kind of like flying action and can now pivot plenty in comparison to the other one, which the flying action is that, standing action is that, the pivot action is just non-existent. So definitely an improvement. Yeah, like I said about the Vegeta one, it is a bit gappy. And I'm not the most happy about that. I kind of wish the whole thing could come forward a bit and the ball was a bit bigger. But, you know, what are you going to do? There is option of cutting the bit at the top, but then you're going to lose the knot here. You could cut this and then cut a chunk above it and then glue it on top of that. But then what I found out is I did try something like that and there's a bit of a gap there, which basically means the ball kind of swings in the joint. It loses the stability. Right, so that needs done. That done. Hips are done. Not happy with those hips. I still think it needs to come down like maybe there, but they'll do for this video. As I demonstrated, I'm not the best of these. I don't think I'm ever going to be the best of these, but the solution, the method works. So I'm not going to do the one on camera. You've seen how to do the legs. We've done the knees, we've done the ankles, and we've done the hips. So all working a treat. Right. We've done the head, we've done the articulation in the head, we've done the shoulders to increase that. Now the final thing, as I mentioned, is about dropping the hips. Now for the Goku here, if I take him apart quickly, for those of you who haven't seen the previous video, did I glue this back together? I can't remember if I glued it back together or not. And I've lost my penknife. No, I didn't glue it back together. Alright, so what we did was, if I grab these, try and take them apart, we cut all along here, like right up here, space where that green is, all the way down here, same on this side. We basically then flipped it and we glued it back in, so then the peg here was sitting at the bottom. So if I show you this on this one, so this bit here used to be up here and this bit here used to be down there, so this peg was up here, which is, you know, it does lower it right down, it does give it a little bit more articulation, and it means you can peg that back in. But the annoying thing is that was so much work. You had to pop it out, you had to cut it in half, as you've demonstrated. It's not easy to cut these things in half. After you've cut it in half, you then have to chop that just right, and then you chop this just right, and then you have to get the knife in to get in here. And what we basically did was got the knife in, was kind of go scratch, 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 scratch. It took ages. It really took a long time. And after doing all of that, then it's repeat the exact same process on this side. And then when I went to attach it, it was too high because it was sat on this. So if you notice, I've had to cut then a layer of here because this one doesn't have that, to make them line up. You see? So that works, and it does lower it, and you do maintain the additional hinge if you want it. I'm not the biggest fan of this hinge. I never have in any figures, so I don't mind losing it. If you want to keep it, that's the only way I can think to lowering it. And even then, with it lowered, as you've seen in my previous video, if you've watched it, you still don't get a massive range of articulation. You get better, definitely better, but not massive range. Which is why in this one, I did what Way Too Many Donuts did, is I cut out a bit of the crutch. So then with that and that, you get a much better. If I show them both, you can see this one comes up a little bit higher. Still not massive, but just that little bit more. So that's what I did in my first attempt, and it was a pain backside. But again, it does look also the nicest when it's kind of collapsed, even with this bit cut out. What I've done for this Goku is very simply, I've cut in there, so I've cut in there, and I've cut in there, and I've just cut this peg off altogether, pulled it out. I've then glued it stationary, so it's now locked in this position. I've then cut out a little bit here, as low as I could possibly get it. Probably could go a little bit lower, and then I've glued it back in. It's much simpler, and it's really easy to do in comparison, although now I'm about to try it on camera, I'm sure it won't be. So the first thing I want to do is, with all of these things, I want to heat this up. Oh, in case you're wondering, the reason why I couldn't Dremel out all this in here is because the Dremel blade would basically just saw away, and then when you're trying to get in, you want to cut out a little plastic as possible. If you've got a Dremel that you take out too much, it just wouldn't be anything to attach to. As you can see for the back of this one, I've added this additional bit of plastic because you see there's a bit of a gap there. So just there's a little bit extra plastic there, just add a little bit of strength to it. Right, let's heat this up. Right, that's nice and warm. Alright, so what we're going to try and do is we want to get the knife in there, okay? So, trying to see how I can show you this on camera. I'm going to kind of cut the peg. So I'm pushing it straight down, away from fingers. Slowly going. Do you know what, for Gotenks, for Goku, for all the others, absolutely fine, but this Gohan is just being a pain in the butt. Right. Ah, it's really hot to touch. There we go. Right. Unfortunately, it has bent the plastic inside a little bit, but I'm not worried about it because I'm going to cut down anyway. But as you can see, we are through. So get the knife out this side. And now a little bit on the other side. No, it might be easier. I'm optimistic this should be easier. Famous last words. Right, it's gone through. I can't get the knife out. There we go. Right, so that's what we want. So we just cut off this peg and this peg. You can leave it rough because you want kind of as much thickness as possible, because when you glue it back in here. But man, that was tight. So now what you ideally want to do is a different design. That's why. Look at the peg shape. It's smaller. That's interesting. I wonder why that's different. So what I can see there is the peg itself is bigger on this one compared to Goku, but yeah, and this peg is smaller. Because if you look at these ones, they're kind of like diagonal, like coned, if you will. Strange. I don't get why they'll change it. Whatever. Right, so we need to glue it now. So I need some kitchen roll, tissue. Now I want to kind of work it apart a little bit. See, I've got a little gap there now. I grab my super glue. Oh, the super glue. And put just a drop. Put it one side to dry. Clean my glue head. Alright, so while that's drying over there, we can work on this. So what we want to do is literally cut off there and there. So we don't need a lot. We just basically want to cut out this gap. We don't need the plastic afterwards, so just want to make it as neat as possible there and there. And then we're just going to literally slather it in glue. So you know what this means we need to do? Put that there. We need to heat it up again. This should hopefully be easier. Oh, famous last words, knock on wood. Okay, let's see if this is enough. Oh, that's very warm. Ah. Oh, it's really hard to touch. I did it too long. Plastic is not great. I don't know what plastic they used here, but look, it's just bending. Any pressure whatsoever. That's boding well. So glad I don't need to be a load bearing crutch or anything. Alright, so as you see, I've just cut out bit by bit. Still need to take out a bit here, but obviously this thing's been a bit difficult for me. Let's try and do a little bit at a time. Now, yes, I was kind of towards myself there, which I literally said, but there was also this bit of plastic in the way, which is quite a solid bit of plastic, so I was safe. Unfortunately, doing these kind of tiny little cuts, there's no guarantee. I'm going to put some glue in there, strengthen that up while this thing's peg is drying. So the big question is, Will this fit? We'll let that dry for a minute, then we'll try.
A few moments later.
Right, okay. So that's pretty good. Right there, let me show you. Let me just line up one more time, it slipped. Alright, so that's pretty good. So that's much lower. So it should really help with that articulation a bit better. I am probably going to start cutting these away as well, but I'll show you that afterwards. First, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to drop it a little bit lower because I think it could get away with a bit more. So okay, so I don't know if you can see this. I've now cut that down a little bit longer, a couple of millimeters more, but that should hopefully just give us that little bit more freedom. All right. Now, what I was worried about is I've cut away a bit too much on the inside and outside, so now it's a bit loose now, which means it's harder to get in. So what we're going to do is get the glue. Going to put a blob on each side of these. So it's trying to crucial now. You want to try and make sure you line up as best you can, as central as you can. Yeah, not like that. Alright, once you've got it in a good enough position, I'm quite happy with that. You then want to put in basically a whole tube of super glue. I'm only kind of joking about this, you see. Really want to try and add as much strength to it as you possibly can. Right, that can now go sit over there. Right, we're going to come back in about 20 minutes, half an hour when that's had a chance to really dry, then we'll reassemble it all. Okay, here you go guys. We are done. The hips are now dry-ish. They're still a little bit wet, but I'll wrap this up for you guys. And as you can see, that's how they look. So yeah, a little bit more gappy. You do get, I'm trying to be gentle because I know they're still a little bit wet in there. You do get, I think this one's a bit better. Not the best range, but if I grab Goku, with the hip all the way down, it's probably about the same actually, isn't it? Oh, so worth it. This one's not been modded in the slightest. So the hip, you do get a little bit more, but you can angle them out and you can get them just going a little bit more. I'm definitely going to do the cutting here as well, just to give that bit more articulation. You don't have to do that one. That's entirely up to you guys. I just, like I said, I don't care about the drop down hips. I'm not a fan of them, and I want to have the most articulation in there. But we've got the thigh cut, we've got the double knee cup here. I did this off camera because obviously you guys didn't see that. We've got the ankle pivots on both ankles now, so they both work really well, so we can get nice decent splits. We've got the nice easy arms around there, and we've got the additional head movement. So all in all, this is how to do all of that stuff. yeah, I'm sorry it took so long to get this video to you guys. I know a lot of you were asking, a lot of you were very eager to see me actually do this on camera, and I apologise that it has taken so long to get here. It feels like there's something blocking this thing. I think there's a bit of plastic. Yeah, there's a bit of plastic in there. Oh, I'll deal with that later. But yeah, I'm happy that we actually finally did this and we got this up and running for you guys. And yeah, I can only apologise. I hope this is helpful. I know obviously what I've shown you is just some guidelines. I'm not perfect in this in the slightest. I'm definitely not great at this, but hopefully I've shown you guys some things that can be done to these figures to improve them, because I don't think Bandai are ever going to do anything more. I know they are still putting out there. Last thing I saw was I think it's a 2-pack of a Goku and a, I can't remember. I'm sure it was like a Goku and a Master Roshi. Yeah, so they're doing a 2-pack of Goku and Master Roshi. This Goku is very much looks like exact copy of this one, maybe without the. Oh no, this one doesn't have the logo, does it? This one has the logo. So I don't know, but the Roshi looks cool. Definitely be getting him. But yeah, this will work for any one of these body molds. And like I said, there's loads of these body molds. We've got, you know, to rain a few. Like the legs thing works on like Piccolo, Goku, Vegito, Gogeta, Goku Black. Well, no, the Goku Black thing, like I said, there's something going on with the knee with this. I'm still trying to figure it out. I've tried something, but I don't think I like it. So this is what I'd like you to do. In this video, in the comments of this video, please drop me a comment about a figure that you'd like a fix to, and I'm going to try and see what I can figure out. So, for example, we got Beerus here, who has no bicep rotation. So I'm going to try and add a bicep rotation and see how easy it is to do that. I'm trying to figure out where the best point is to do it. Is it worth doing it just as like an elbow there, like the neck things I've got going on? You know, Frieza here. I'm not happy of these static shoulder pads. I'm kind of want to try and maybe think if there's a way of making it either a floating piece like this, so it'll go around with the arm, or maybe just something that will flap up and down. So, you know, something like that. If you can think of any kind of questions or fixes or any Dragon Stars only, though, that's the only line I'm working from, chuck in the comments below, and if I've got the figure, I will try and see if I can figure it out. I don't have all of the figures, but I do have most of them. I think the only ones I'm missing is the latest Broly, and I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. But anyway, guys, I hope this has been helpful. I hope you guys do like this, and I hope this has been just useful to help you guys decide if you want to do this. Like I said, you don't have to do all these. You can just do the one or the thing. Maybe you might just like the freedom of doing this. Make these a bit easier, or maybe you just want the ankle pivots. You know, there's so many different things going on here. You don't need to do them all. Like I said, the final thing I'm going to do to this guy is cut up the crutch a bit, just like this one, just to give that a bit more freedom to get that leg up that bit higher. But that's me personally. Anyway, apart from that, he is done. Anyways, again, thank you for watching this, and I apologise this has taken such a long time, but I do really appreciate your interest in seeing this video happen, and rest assured I am going to try and get myself back into this, but I do have some news which I will be announcing probably my next video. I've got some news to announce, and yeah, I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I'm going to try and get something out for you guys again, try and get some content, and I will be getting back on those Fantastic Four. I've had a few comments about when am I going to finish Fantastic Four. I haven't touched them. They're still sat, they're basically sat off camera just there, waiting for me to pick them up and go, and they are still going to be my next project, although I have kind of just thought of a Dragon Ball one, which I might do, but I think I might do it off camera to show you guys. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I really do appreciate all the support and everything, and thank you for your patience, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'll catch you in my next one. See ya.